I just want to start this video off by saying I've never really done a video like this before. In fact, I've never done one before like this. So I'm going to be very awkward, or, I'm going to be a bit funky, you know me. So if I sound a bit nervous or weird or anything, and I just yap on a bit, it's because I've never done this before and I'm terrified. But also, if you have any recommendations for stuff you want to see or anything like that, or improvements, please feel free to comment and let me know. I'm going to be honest, there's not going to be much positivity in this video at all when it comes to this game, because it is just not in a good state right now. I'm going to be honest, Overwatch is in one of those positions where it used to be such a good game. It was so fun, you play with your friends, it was 6v6, it was the good old days. It was 2 tanks versus 2 tanks, double shield. You just can't do stuff like this anymore.
Okay, I lamp after Sigma Matrix.
You ready? You ready?
Yes, go, I have lamp.
Okay, go. Wait, they have lamp too. They have lamp. I'm going back. Up top. Okay. Hold on. Wait a bit.
Yeah,
Can we pull the hounds up top?
Pull top.
Can you help? Nice.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, I'm lamp. You guys shield first.
Remove the shield, Sigma. Sigma, you're wasting your shield. Wait for the lamp. Wait. Do you have lamp?
Stop lamp.
Go lamp. Winnable.
I have lamp. Lamp down soon. Down.
Going back. Shielding.
Lamp in fire.
They have lamp. Yeah, we wait for lamp. Oh, lamp.
Lamp now. We have lamp and a bandit. We can go. Nice.
Let's go.
I have ult. Gonna ult here.
Move. Nice.
Overall, the game just feels a bit slow now. It doesn't fill me with the adrenaline it used to, and it just feels, I don't feel as good as I used to when I play Overwatch, because the game, it's so different now, and so, some things in this game are great, but some things it just feels like Blizzard don't really care anymore about what they're doing, and it just feels like a bit of a money grab now, and it isn't fun anymore. Overall, this game isn't what it used to be. It used to be this game that you would get on and you'd be excited to play with your friends, and now no one really plays it anymore, and the people who do just aren't happy. And obviously you're never going to make everyone happy with the stuff you do. You know, if you buff a character or nerf a character, you're always going to upset someone. You're never going to be able to make someone happy. But it just feels like the majority of players aren't happy with how this game is anymore, which I completely agree with. It is so different and not always in a good way. This game has, since, in my opinion, Overwatch 2 was released, it has gone downhill so quickly because of how neglected it feels. Like, it doesn't feel there's much going on anymore. It doesn't feel like Blizzard has much inspiration to do anything with the game anymore, and the stuff that they do with the game is just a bit of a money grab. It feels like they don't really care about the new characters or about the new heroes, or about like anything to happen with this game much at the moment. Like, even the new-ish characters like Junker Queen or Kiriko or Sojourn, even they don't get much content nowadays. Like, they've been out for, I don't even know how long Overwatch 2 has been out now, but it still feels like they're just a bit neglected, or like Blizzard doesn't really care. It feels like they're hanging on to the past of Overwatch 1, of when the game was good and it was really fun and popular and people didn't have as many complaints, when it was 6v6, GOATs, the prime of Overwatch 1 and the prime of Overwatch in general. It just feels like they're hanging on to the past and not really paying much attention to the new stuff, because people just find stuff to complain. So they think, if we hang on to Overwatch 1 and the older heroes like Diva, Hanzo, Ana, then that's a good way to keep the game alive, but it just isn't really working. Another big problem with this game is how inconsistent roles are, because I feel like when you're playing a game of Overwatch, when you're in a quick play game or a comp game or just any mode really, it feels like there's tank tank is in such a bad position. Like it is absolutely, there is no denying that it is the worst role in the game at the moment. It is it's almost unplayable, to the point that I've never been very good at Overwatch, but I've played it for a long time. I was a tank main for a long time. I was plat, reaching diamond. I was high plat at one point in my career on Overwatch, and then I stopped the game for a bit, and I came back. I stopped the game for about 2 months, then I came back, and I dropped because I realised how bad tank had become as a role and how unplayable it is. It doesn't really feel like a good role anymore. It used to feel so solid back in, and I'm gonna bring it up again, 6v6. Back when it was a fun game to play, when situations were so hard and you could fight. You could have a fight for like 2, 3 full minutes and contest for 5 minutes and not get rolled by one player on a team. Like tank just feels very, it feels very ignored and neglected, and like Blizzard don't see it as a big of a problem as it really is, because it is just not a fun role to play anymore, and I think most people have that opinion. Another big problem with tank is counterwatch, and I know people bring that up a lot, but it is because it is so relevant with how bad tank is as a role nowadays. Like whenever you pick, if you're playing like a hog or something, you could be playing really well all day playing hog, and then there's one game that they swap to a reaper or a Kree or something, or just something that can ruin that experience playing that character, that just makes it impossible to play them, that it just ruins the role, because you can't have fun anymore. There's no fun in playing the role because you can't play the role. At the moment, it just feels like every tank's being a bit ignored, and as soon as they finally start to feel strong again, they're just gonna be nerfed into the ground again. Like with Ramarcha when he first came out, he was so good. His ult was amazing, and no one really knew how to counter it. But then people started to figure it out, and it became a little bit easier. But then for some reason, Blizzard still nerfed him. You know, they made him weaker, and he became one of the worst tanks in Overwatch 2, in my opinion. I love playing tank. I remember when I first started playing D.Va in Overwatch 1, I would queue with my friends, and it would be so much fun because we'd always have 2 tanks, and I would play in 6 stacks, and it was just so much fun because it was 2 tanks versus 2 tanks. It was this big fight, and it always ended really fun. There was no conflict in how interesting the game was because the role was just fun. But it feels like nowadays you can't really have that anymore because the game just ends dramatically, or the fight does, because of how bad of a role tank is now and how unplayable it is. It just feels like whenever you play it, it just feels sad. I'm almost done talking about tank now, but I've just got one more thing that really irks me when it comes to Overwatch, and tank specifically, is making space. It feels impossible to make space with tank anymore, because when you try to make space, you will get slept, antied, maywalled. You will have every ability thrown at you, and there is nothing you can do about it, really, because there's nothing your teammates can do to get you away from that Maywall or wake you up or get rid of the anti, unless you have a Kirikou Suzu. But it just feels you get punished a lot for making space, which just shouldn't happen. The whole point of the role is to make space, let your team come through, win the fight, but you just can't make space anymore. I really quickly want to talk about DPS as a role, because I've always loved playing Hanzo, okay? He's been my most played character for as long as I can remember. He's almost on 100 hours now in total, if I remember that correctly. And he was always very good with the one-shot headshots and how game-changing characters like that can be, and how strong DPS used to be. But it just feels like nowadays, with the lack of strength and not having one-shot headshots or anything like that anymore, it just feels like tank and, well, I guess support as well, every role in the game. It feels very inconsistent, and it just feels like you're either going to have a very good game and you're going to do a lot for the team and you're really going to change how a round plays out, or you're just going to sit back and then get flamed by your supports for not pushing, your tank for not pushing, and it just feels very sluggish as a role now. It doesn't feel like you can do much, and it just feels quite slow. Whenever I play DPS now, I can't help but feel like I'm not doing enough for the team anymore. I also want to talk a bit about support, moving away from tank now, because I am an avid Arna player. I have always loved Arna. I remember as a kid staying up watching top 500 Arna gameplay and trying to learn how they get so good. And I remember queuing with my friends and doing Nano Blade or Beyblade with Reaper and Arna's Nano back in the day. And it was so much fun, but it just feels like support's a bit too strong now, which when I'm playing support, that's great, but playing against them, it just feels hard to do anything against them or counter them anyway. Like, Kiriko feels too strong. She feels a bit too big for her boots. She feels more like a DPS with a little bit of healing that she can do. Like, she just doesn't feel like a support anymore. I've also always loved playing Life Weaver since he came out. Life Weaver is my favourite character in the game by far, because of how versatile he is and how much you can do with him and how good his movement is and how you can reposition people. But again, it just doesn't feel like a support anymore. They feel stronger than tank and DPS. Like, Kiriko just feels like a bit of a... Kiriko feels like Kree nowadays. It just doesn't really feel like support anymore. Support has always been the most stressful role in the game as well. There is no denying that, in my opinion. I think it has always been hard to play support, up until recently at least, because of how angry people get when they're on the other side of a wall and they ask for healing and they blame you. Support has always been blamed a lot of the time, in my opinion, about how bad support players are, and it just feels like the blame's kind of always put on them. And nowadays you still get that, but it isn't as much. Like, DPS, well, tanks even get the blame now most of the time because they just can't do anything. And like I said, I love Life Weaver. He's so good. He just doesn't. It doesn't feel like a support anymore role. It doesn't feel like a support role anymore. It just feels like a DPS with a healing ability. Moving away from roles by themselves now, I want to talk about Overwatch as a whole, because I feel like nowadays I just don't feel excited about the game anymore. It doesn't give me that spark that I used to have when I was younger, waiting for a new season or just waiting for new content or a new hero tease. It doesn't feel the same anymore. I don't get excited waiting for content anymore because of how disappointed I've been in the past, and it just doesn't feel like there's much going on anymore, or like much is going well. I remember when I first started playing Overwatch for the first time on my own account, I started playing on Xbox, and I was sat on my bedroom floor with my Xbox set up, and it was about 9 or 10 o'clock on a school night, and I just unlocked competitive for the first time, and it was Overwatch 1 Season 11. I remember it specifically. It was Overwatch 1 Season 11, and I only got to play one comp game that night because I had to go to bed because I had school the next day. And I remember going to bed that night and I was so excited to get up the next day, get home from school and play Overwatch, because it was new, it was fresh, it was nothing I'd ever done or played before. And I was so excited, but it feels like when I get home from being out or working or something nowadays, it just doesn't feel like there's much excitement. I get in, I play Overwatch, and I play it for the sake of playing it. I don't play it because I feel the need to or the want to anymore. I never really played much quick play. I've always been a competitive player. Whenever I'd get home, I'd go straight into comp, or whenever I first get on for the day, I'd go straight into comp. And unless I'm having a bad day when it comes to Overwatch or something, I don't really play quick play or any other game mode unless I'm in a competitive queue. But it feels hard to play comp nowadays because of how inconsistent the game feels and all the roles feel put together. The 5v5 format just doesn't work, if we're going to be honest. Overwatch isn't a game built for 5v5. It worked so much better when it was 6v6 in Overwatch 1. And things just run smoother. The game was more exciting, it was more fun, fights lasted for longer. A fight couldn't just end from one ultimate anymore. You had to keep fighting. I just want to say very quickly before this video ends that I am going to be making more videos because this is what I love to do. I've always loved doing it, and I want to get back into the stride of doing this stuff because I do love it. It is one of my favourite things to do. And also, I released my first ever song, and this is my first proper video since releasing it. So if you guys could go support it, I will leave the Soundcloud and YouTube link in the description, and I appreciate any likes or listens or everything. I do greatly appreciate it, and I'll never be able to say how much I do appreciate it. But yeah, if you guys want any different kind of videos, or if there's anything you guys want to see, just let me know. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you all at some point.
Inspiration.
Finn! What you doing?
Oh, hi, princess.